views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of Bronxnet or the program underwriters.
Good evening and welcome to the Bronx Buzz. This is Bronx Net's program. We talk to writers and reporters and journalists and editors. He underscored that for this evening's show. Also photographers, filmmakers, videographers, anybody who puts stuff out in the Bronx. And this evening we are going out with Michael Hinman, who's the editor of the well-regarded, the award-winning Riverdale Press. Nice to have you with us, Mr. Hinman.
Hey, Gary, how you doing?
We're doing okay. We're staying safe. I know you wore your mask earlier before the show. We made you take it off, but somehow we're staying socially distant one way or the other.
Yeah, I think it's 6 miles or something like that, right, Gary? I don't know.
I didn't put on my GPS. I don't know exactly how far. Anyway, let's talk about something that's coming up that's very exciting. A lot of people know that I have moderated debates and political debates in the Bronx for many years. This time around, with all the things going on, the Riverdale Press and even you will be moderating a debate. Talk to me about what's going on.
Well, first of all, this is not to compete with your debates, Gary. There's no way anybody can host the debate like you can. So, so what we're doing is like in addition to what you're doing.
You're so kind.
So we could never fill those shoes, but no, we're really excited about it. We are going to do a city council district 11. There's a special election coming up March 23rd, and there's 5 candidates right now. There were 7, but 2 of them are now kind of waiting until the primaries in June. And so we're going to bring those 5 candidates together virtually, at least, and start asking them a bunch of questions and then seeing how they stack up before we're basically warming them up before you have a chance to talk to them, Gary. That's pretty much what we're doing.
And you can be sure that, if you're talking about what I will do, I will definitely watch every word of it and see if we can't make some sense out of it and move things to the next level. For you and for the paper, it's kind of exciting to do something like this, right? I mean, I know this is something that you've wanted to do. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, this is something I've done in the past as a journalist. I've had a chance to moderate various debates or at least be on a panel for different debates. And I don't think any of them have ever been televised before. So that's a little bit new for me. My mom's always told me that I've had a face for radio, but, but yet.
That's not necessary. That's nasty.
It's just truthful, I guess. But, I thought, what the heck, they'll put me out there anyway. And, we'll see how that all works out. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. I wanted to have a chance to have as many forums as possible is really what I'm thinking, because what happens is you get these special elections and you get these city council races, and there ends up being a lot of apathy. There's not a lot of information that floats out around there about these different candidates. And I think whatever we can do, I mean, I hope that these candidates are going to do like 7 or 8 or 9, 10 debates or forums or whatever that's out there, because I think it's really important to get that information out there for all of them.
There was a lot of discussion about whether or not, because of COVID and everything else going on, the mayor should have eliminated or lowered the threshold for petitioning. And I've seen them actually just the other day, or maybe today is the last day for filing. How do you think that's gone? Do you have a sense that despite everything, it still was kind of a fair way to handle qualification for office?
Well, I mean, I've come from different places, different jurisdictions, different states where qualifying for the ballot's a little bit different. There are some petitioning aspects, but that's usually an option, usually for cash poor campaigns. I think that the idea of petitioning overall and making that your prime way of getting on the ballot, I mean, I think this a little bit harkens back to the machine era days of New York, and I think it's a little antiquated. Especially like right now with COVID, the governor over the weekend decided to lower the threshold by 30%, which didn't really make much sense because last year when he lowered the threshold, he lowered it to 30% of what they would normally gather. So it was a big difference from what he did last year. But even then, a lot of the candidates said, we've already collected most of our signatures at this point. So it doesn't even matter.
This year will be the first year of ranked choice voting.
Yeah.
You have a sense of how this is going to go. My sense is that voters don't even know what it means. So, and so, and so maybe you can run through it and explain a little bit and why this is significant in this particular race.
Well, if you remember, like anybody who's been paying attention to politics is very familiar with what happened in Georgia with the Senate runoff races that they had just last week that allowed Democrats to retake control of the U.S. Senate. I mean, the reason why they had to do that is because in Georgia, like many states, you have to get 50% plus one in order to win. When you have multiple people on a ballot, that's a lot harder to do. You're going to have a bunch of people on that ballot, and and you got to choose one of them, and so normally that's what you would do. You would choose one person and that's it. With ranked choice voting, what it's doing is saying, okay, well, this is my first choice, but here's my second choice. So just in case my first choice doesn't work out, here's my second choice, here's my third choice, and I think you can actually go down to five, and that allows you a chance to express your opinion on all five candidates without having to go through runoff elections or have somebody elected with just like 20% of the vote.
And do you get the sense, when I look back and take a wide picture of everything that's going on in Bronx politics now, we're going to have numerous races. Not only will the two special elections have many candidates, but as we get into June, I mean, I think we have 5 or 6, new council members who are going to be elected, and there's a lot of candidates out there. Might be a handy way of beginning to really distinguish, who people really want.
Yeah, and I think that's what I like about ranked choice. And ranked choice isn't new for New York, believe it or not. This was something that we actually had in place 100 years ago. It disappeared with the machines. That was another gift from the political machines that New York, adores so much. And they disappeared, I think, around the 30s, like the early 30s and such. And now they're making that comeback. But I mean, there's a lot of support. I think that there's a lot of people who believe that ranked choice voting really does help voters get to express their voice, to express their opinion without having to just go with, all right, here's who got 30% of the vote and that's it. Like, we don't know, like maybe second choices could have done really a lot better. We don't know.
You have done a significant amount of writing, reporting on the Ben Franklin Club. You're talking about political machines. Um, where are we at now? They endorsed the Assemblyman's son, Eric Dinowitz, as I understand. What has been the issue for you or for the paper, and what have you revealed in your reporting that you think is worth telling and that people can learn from?
Well, I mean, the Ben Franklin Club, which was founded 50 years ago as a way to fight machines like Tammany Hall and such, that was trying to make a resurgence at the time. I mean, it's pretty much become that machine. It's become part of that machine in the Bronx. And you're seeing that with special elections. You're seeing that by offering judgeships. You're seeing that with patronage and everything else. The problem that you have with clubs like this is that that it's supposed to be the voice, it's supposed to be representative of the people in the community, from political, obviously from one political party, but it's not. It's been out of touch for at least the last few elections. I mean, it's run by just a few people now, and they're losing a lot of money, by the way. There's a lot of campaign donations that are no longer being funneled that way. And what happens is that now you have this club that felt it was so important to endorse the Assemblyman's son that they decided to totally not even reelect their leadership. So their leadership is basically there until somebody decides that, oh, we don't, now let's change the leaders. But that's not how we do this in a democratic society. Even with a private club, I mean, they're supposed to represent democratic values, small d democratic values. But if you're not even selecting your own leaders, if you're not allowing your members to select your leaders, then are you really practicing those democratic values?
Do you view this election as a test in some form for the Ben Franklin Club?
I don't know. That's a really good question. It's because there's a lot of different variables that are in play here. I mean, you have Eric Dinowitz, who, because of his father, the assemblyman, that there's a lot of name recognition there, which is very helpful in a special election race like this, which has low turnout. But you also have the fact that there's ranked choice voting, which could really, like normally I could give you an idea, like I could probably give you a prediction of how I think the race is going to turn up.
You're not going to do that now.
I couldn't even begin to tell you how this race is going to go. I mean, my mind is trying to figure out all of the numbers and crunching that and all the possibilities with ranked choice voting. And I couldn't tell you, to be honest. Like, I think we might come out March 23rd a little surprised.
So the election is March 23rd. When is the debate that the Riverdale Press will be presenting?
So we're actually going to film the debate on January 20th, which is Inauguration Day, by the way, for Joe Biden, but we're going to do a little bit later in the afternoon. But everybody else will have a chance to see it on February 2nd.
On Bronxnet television. You're looking forward to it? You must. I'm happy for you. I think you're excited. It's great for the paper. It's great for the community. Frankly, it's great for me. I think it's great. You must be excited about it.
I am. I mean, I do want to apologize to the community in advance because I believe there are going to be some promos going out there where I attempt to speak Spanish, and I just want to apologize to all Spanish speakers out there. I'm terrible at.
They made you do it. Listen, Michael, I'm also. We're going to change gears after we take a short break. This paper that was put out, you say, what? Riverdale Press? What year is this? And I want to talk to you about it. It was a labor of love, I know, for you, and certainly for us readers, it was a chance to see it. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. More with Michael Hinman at the Riverdale Press right after this.
We built a media network for you.
Bronxnet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on Bronxnet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at bronxnet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. Bronxnet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
Bronxnet.
Who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65, people with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes, people undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people, avoid crowds, stay home if you can, wash your hands frequently, learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov.
We know that people are dealing with the health crisis, but there's also a lot of food insecurity.
We're giving out healthy food options, and that's what's key here.
If you're a senior, you have a disability, they'll actually deliver meals to you.
The residents are anxious, they're worried, they're scared, they want to be tested.
When things were happening in our community, and we couldn't get the help.
There's almost a presumption of criminality that attaches to your skin color.
The site will prioritize those who are at highest risk in the population.
If you feel symptoms and you'd like to visit one of these COVID-19 testing sites here in the Bronx, you may call the State Health Department's hotline.
Important to note about this site is no reservations are needed. This is a walk-in clinic.
A lot of us are out of work and looking for something to do.
We have the machinery and the skills to make large scales of these masks and gowns.
Take care of your people. It's going to go way further than we actually can understand.
Right now, employees like myself are just adjusting to the new reality.
Reporting from Bronxnet, this is Trans.
back with you on the Bronx Buzz. Our guest is the editor of the Riverdale Press, Michael Hinman. And the reason mine looks like this is because I read every bit of it. Michael has a clean copy of it. This was a paper that you put out, I guess, during holiday time. I don't recall the Riverdale Press doing anything like this. Not only is it the old, you told me, it's not the masthead, it's the flag.
Yep.
But you had all kinds of articles from the past. Tell me what the idea was behind this very special edition. And you should hold up a clean copy so it doesn't look as well read as mine was.
I'll have to dig it out. Oh, look, I just happen to have one here. So, no, I mean, this is, so this flag, by the way, is the first time we've used this flag in nearly 50 years. So we basically have been using our existing flag for 50 years straight, and I broke that streak. So it's gone. So now it's all started out. I think we're like 4 issues instead of 1,500 issues. But no, it was something that I wanted to do something very special for the 70th anniversary of the paper. And normally we would do a pull-out section or something like that that would kind of highlight what the paper has done in the past. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool to do a pull-out section that looked like old style newspaper? And then it's kind of morphed from there. There's like, how about we just do kind of a wrap around the paper? Why don't we do like a front page that way? Next thing I know, it was the entire paper. So the idea was to have this done in June. This was actually, we did December 17th, but we were originally planning to do it in June. But then this pandemic thing happened, and it really kind of, messed up a lot of those plans. So we pushed it almost to the latest that I could do it, where it was still our 70th anniversary in 2020. But I was really proud of it. It was a lot of work. I mean, that's, normally when we lay out newspapers, we have like a lot of tools at our disposal, a lot of templates and a lot of things that we can utilize that help speed up the process, where this was all like, everything had to be done manually. So all the layout, all the design, and then to go against what we normally do, which is a modular, kind of a square layout where we're just wrapping things around everything, which is a very old style paste up. It was very hard to do. I haven't done literal paste up in almost 30 years. So it was very different to actually kind of do it.
How did you choose the articles? Now, when I saw it, and I said, "Oh, well, I know a lot of stuff. I've been reading the paper for essentially most of my life," and I was like, "Wait a minute, I remember this. It's not there. I remember this. It's not there." But there was a lot in here anyway. How did you choose what you were going to put in this when there's so much? Goodness gracious, 52 editions a year for 50 years. Do the math.
Yeah, 70 years. Yeah, for 70 actually. I mean, we have books that go back. Our books don't go all the way back to 1950, but they go back pretty close, like to 55 or 56. And I'll tell you, there are times, Gary, where I'm in this office really late at night, just going through those books and just looking at and reading different stories, and it's amazing. So so during all those times, I noted some different stories I thought were kind of interesting. That either like, wow, that'd be interesting, and people didn't even know that. Like, who knew that there's a nuclear reactor, at Manhattan College at one point? Which actually somebody from Manhattan College had told me that, which is why I was looking for it. So I knew that it existed, and I wanted to find the story. But I also wanted to find stories that still related to today, like the commercial rental issues, for instance, on Johnson Avenue with the Friedland family, which is still going on today. I mean, those are the same exact issues that we have today, where it's happened before, it's happened again. To steal from one of my favorite shows, Battlestar Galactica, but.
So the idea was to pick things that maybe people would read, because I forget which one it was. I think it was a housing one that I looked at, and I was like, oh wait, I know what it was. It was the Wave Hill. It was the story about Wave Hill, and I was like, oh really? And then I looked, and I think the date was 1963.
Yeah, the Wave Hill, like we decided to do the focus on Wave Hill by accident. I was looking for an editorial, and I was trying to get one around the Kennedy assassination. So if you look at the date for the editorial of Wave,
I'm looking at it right now.
It's like right before John F. Kennedy was assassinated, because we didn't actually write an editorial about the assassination. And then I saw this editorial, it's like, wow, all of these things that they were planning for Wave Hill pretty much came into being. So that became that new focus.
Well, when I looked at it, I was like, oh, I guess they wrote the current editorial because Wave Hill has a riverfront plan. We've been through this, and we're still going through it. There's still talk about a full, river walkway, by there, and so it was kind of. The other thing that struck my it got my attention was the op-ed piece. Excuse me while I read the paper while I'm on TV.
Go ahead, Gary. We'll sit here and wait. It's fine.
was the Fred Friendly
Yes.
op-ed piece. He was, of course, a great journalist on his own, and I recall, I don't know if I recall reading this one. When did this come out?
Yeah, so Fred Friendly. So the op-ed is Fred Friendly. It wasn't originally published as an op-ed. It was actually a verbatim of his eulogy that he did for David Stein, the founder of the newspaper, at his funeral in 1982. And I read that. It was on the front page of the Riverdale Press in 1982. But I read that and I just loved it. I mean, everything about it just, I felt, that, and it's funny because Richie Stein told me afterward, after he read that, he said he was in tears when he read that again, like in our special edition. And but he told me that there was a part where where Fred Friendly is talking about Buddy and Richie, the sons of David Stein who took over the paper, and he was talking about like how they had this legacy to carry, and he's like, and Richie told me he was like staring like right at them, like almost like, you better make this right, you better keep this legacy going. So that was like a really interesting note. And I mean, all I know about Fred Friendly is what I read in history books and what George Clooney, portrayed in the movies. So. And
he was a Riverdalian, right? Do I have that right?
Yeah.
He was. When I don't know when it was, somewhere earlier on, you've been on our program so many times. I asked you about coming from out of town, so to speak, and coming here to learn about not only the community, but learn about the newspaper, because it has such a rich history and a rich legacy. So I kind of want to re-up that conversation and re-ask that question now that you've gone even further into the background. What about the Riverdale Press strikes you and makes it really an unbelievable paper? I mean, it's award-winning. I think, I believe in this week's paper, Buddy Stein made it clear that it's one of the most well-known local papers in the United States. Talk to me just about coming from the outside, now being involved in it and learning about what has been so great about it for all these years.
Well, I mean, I'm actually very honored that this coming week is my 200th issue of the papers has ever arrived. So I've actually done 200 issues, which is nowhere near what everybody else has done in the past. But I'm working my way up. But this paper, I think what is that there's heart in it. It's not afraid to stand up to those who we should be standing up to. It's not afraid to call out what it needs to call out, but it's also not afraid to tell the good stories. It's not afraid to take a look at what people are doing in the community and be a part of that community. And that's the thing. We're not just here observing what's in the community. We're in the community. We're part of that. And that's why I've stayed in community journalism as much in my career as I could. Every time I pulled away from community journalism, went into something else, I got pulled right back into it because it's so important. I mean, having a community without a newspaper, I think is a very bad thing. And if you want to move somewhere and there's no newspaper in that community, don't move there.
That's a very interesting point. It actually interfaces perfectly with what I was going to say. Of course, in many busy Bronx neighborhoods, we don't have, I believe, enough coverage, and the more we all could do to improve that. But years ago, I don't remember which anniversary of the paper it was. I had both Buddy and Richie Stein on a Bronx Talk, and I asked them, why does Riverdale do well? I mean, we understand that in many cases there's higher incomes there. And Buddy said, partially because there is a good community newspaper, because we keep elected officials in line, we keep people informed of what's going on. So if there's an event going, everybody can know about it. And I've repeated that line a number of times as to why a good paper in journalism is so important to a community. Does it force you to raise your game a little bit and say, well, you know what, this kind of is not good enough, and I really want to do a better story or better writing? I'm sure it probably has made you be a better editor and more forceful journalist on your own.
Yeah, always. I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's one of those things. I'm a perfectionist as it is, but that's why I work so many hours. That's why, I don't have a life now outside of the paper because I know that everybody's looking. I know that everybody's watching. And not that I haven't been in that, in that situation before. I've worked at a lot of different newspapers where there's a lot of readers, but people really look here. I mean, people pay attention very closely, and there's a legacy to hold up. When Richie invited me to come become the editor of the Riverdale Press, I knew that I was trying to uphold, that my job was to uphold a very important legacy in this community. And I take that very, very seriously.
Part of what you said was fake news, because I know that you get around a little bit. You go out and the next thing I know, we're getting a Facebook message that he's in Pennsylvania or somewhere else. So, okay, I'll accept what you said. I know that you work very hard. You're there all night long.
Even when I'm in Pennsylvania, I'm working though. So like, even when I travel, I haven't, every single issue of this paper I've had a part of, like I've been working on it.
Check out the debate. They're going to record it, but it will be on Bronx Net Television on February 2nd. Do we know what time it is, or check your local listings?
Yeah, I think it was 7 o'clock, but I don't know. I probably should have known that before I come on here.
Good luck in the debate. Give me good information that I could use when we do one in March. And thanks for joining us and spending a little extra time with us this evening. Michael Hinman, the editor of the Riverdale Press. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Gary.
We will see you next week, won't we? Yeah, we'll do more Bronx Talk and the Bronx Buzz, and we thank our producer Rebecca, and we'll see you then. Thank you to Michael Hinman for stepping in, and good night.